And we are live now on YouTube, so I'll formally welcome everyone to our Prescott Town Council meeting for Monday, July 26, 2021. Special meeting this evening for essentially one very, very positive, very nice purpose. We're all happy to be here for that. So I will call the meeting to order under item 1 and move right on to the approval of tonight's agenda under item 2. And that recommendation reads that the agenda for the special council meeting of July 26, 2021 be approved as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councilor Ostrander, seconded by Councilor McConnell. All those in favor? Thanks, everyone. Item 3 is declarations of interest. Any declarations tonight from members of council? Seeing none. Item 4, mayor's portion this evening. I did add one small item under 4.1, not for discussion tonight, but I just wanted to make sure everybody had this. This was just distributed at our health unit board meeting last Thursday. There is a recovery plan being contemplated right now by the board. They are looking for aspects of improving operations and basically learning everything we can from the pandemic. And one of those items is better cooperation with municipalities and just improving overall operations there. So I included the briefing note done by Dr. Paula Stewart for that meeting. I'll let everyone just have a look at that. And if anyone has any feedback on how the health unit could work better going forward and learn some of these great lessons that we've all had to learn through the pandemic, just let me know and we will add it back to the agenda at some point in the future. This is moving forward fairly quickly. So if anyone does have any suggestions there, please forward them on to me, but we will add this back for discussion at a future council meeting as well, if anyone has anything formally. Tonight, I just want to make sure everybody had that to be able to digest it and possibly contemplate some potential changes and how we could better work together as a region on public health. So that's it for me this evening under 4.1. Again, just let me know if you have any feedback there. So item 5, the main reason, and really the only reason we're here tonight, item 5 under staff, we do have 5.1, and that's staff report 68, 2021 on our new single pad arena and the new community center. Then this is to award the contract formally. Recommendation reads that council approve the selection of Robert J. Bourgon and Associates Limited for construction of a single pad arena and community center with a budget of $17,300,837, and that council provides staff direction to enter into a construction contract with Robert J. Bourgon and Associates Limited for the construction of the single pad arena and community center. Could I ask for a mover, please? Moved by Councilor Young, seconded by Councilor Jansman. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Armstrong for his report this evening, and I'll also welcome Josh Heeman again from EVB. They've done a great job with EVB and his associates on helping us with the engineering through all this. So a lot of good news to discuss tonight, so I won't delay them any longer. Mr. Armstrong, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to ask Nathan to speak to kind of the background and analysis part of the report, and then I'll come back with the financial side. So Nathan, if you want to take it away and just kind of talk about what we've done over the last week and some of the initiatives that we reviewed.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Matthew, and through you, Mayor Todd. So yeah, it's an exciting report that you have in front of you, one that I think everybody's been waiting a long time for. So in April of the year 21 of this year, after the federal and provincial funding was announced, after a long-awaited period, the town proceeded immediately to go to request for issuance of tenders for the construction of the single pad arena and the community center, and 5 submissions were received, as was detailed in the report from last week. And the lowest bid was from Bourgon and Associates at $17.3 million. So a detailed Class A construction estimate was completed for the construction of the complex, and that came in at about $14.5 million. And that did have some contingency in there for some pandemic, inflation, and that was taking into account the drawings were 99% complete, so there were no changes there. And as everybody's seen in the last little while, the wood prices are up 300%, and a lot of other things are up as well. Thankfully, steel and concrete they're not up that much, but they certainly have gone up. And I think we saw that in the bids. So the 5 bids that came in, there was certainly had an increased cost of materials on the concrete and the steel in particular. And this was related to the bidders basically said this is related to the pandemic and several other things that have gone on globally in the last year and a half. There was some production issues down in Texas. There's been the Suez Canal blockage. So lots of interesting things that affected material supplies globally. So we did see higher steel prices in the bids. And then the architectural costs as well were kind of beyond what the estimate was. Borgon is a fairly local general contractor. They are based out of Cornwall. The town is familiar with them as they did the construction for the fire hall a couple of years ago. They they also built the fire hall in Maitland, and they did a good job on that. And I think they're building a fire hall north of Brockville right now in, I guess, Elizabethtown, or just south of Toledo. They also have done many municipal projects, I know, throughout Eastern Ontario, and have a very good reputation, and consistently get contracts awarded to them as they're a good contractor, and they have good pricing. They're using a local. They're also part of the Benson Center arena that was built in Cornwall a couple of years ago as well. They weren't the general contractor, but they certainly were involved in some of the higher profile parts of that project. They're also using a mix of kind of local and regional subcontractors, so that's good as well. And one of the companies, for instance, is Ken Miller Excavating, a good local contractor that everybody's familiar with, and they have excellent standing with the town. As we received the bids, everybody was aware they're higher than anticipated. So we immediately asked the lowest bid contractor to kind of review the project quickly and see if there's any kind of low-hanging fruit that we could look at for some immediate cost savings. And some of the things that, so they sent us a list, and then we reviewed this whole list through the multidisciplinary team with Josh and his team. So the mechanical, electrical engineers, and the civil engineers, and the architects. Looking for any types of modifications or removals or substitutions that were kind of easily changeable or modified, to reduce the cost a little bit. And as part of this process, we also wanted to ensure that the mandate of the design that was chosen and picked out, so far by the public and by council didn't change. So some of those things were, the walking track, the community rooms that are up on the second floor. There's a heated concrete slab that kind of comes into the entrance at the exterior of the building. Those are things that we wanted to continue to keep within the project, because if we take them out, it does modify the project substantially. And also like the heating in the stands for the spectators, and then also the amount of parking as well, which there's a lot of parking there, but I think you'll see that it'll get filled. I think when in the summertime, if we have something going on at the community center and things going on in the fields that are going to be north of that. So some of the things that we did look at were reviewing the lighting manufacturer. We've had some suggestions that maybe we could look at the way that the lights have been kind of picked and chosen. There's some drop ceilings that are in the hallway as you walk to the dressing rooms. There's a drop ceiling there that I think we could probably remove and just paint all of the items above that. The kitchen appliances, we could review some of the selections that have been made there. We did choose some, kind of an intensive kitchen that maybe we could relook at. Also the site soils classification is something that Josh's team is going to look at, and that's basically looking at the seismic load based on the priority of the building. And so it's a high priority, meaning if there was an earthquake, it's a very important building that needs to stay up and be useful to the town if we needed an emergency situation. And then some of the other things there's a mini hockey rink that's kind of on one side that's for kids as they wait for their siblings to play hockey. And so that's something we can look at, maybe the materials that's made of, but we certainly want to make sure there's a good kids area there for parents to hang out with the smaller siblings. And then also the excess soils that come off the site, we're always keenly interested in making sure that we're not paying extra or sending those to a site that's further away than it needs to be. And then there's also an allowance of just over $500,000 that includes the security for the building, the signs that would be on the exterior, utilities, and then there's an overall contingency inside of that of $250,000. So if some of that money is not spent, that directly goes to save right, to the project itself. Just the money just doesn't get spent. So overall, the general contractor that was the lowest bid is an excellent reputation. They're local and they're eager to get going on this project. It is a big project for them, and they're quite excited to be part of it. And they're committed to a continuous improvement on the project as we go through it, and look to save money where we can, and it'll look to have a minimum savings of $150,000 on all those items that we went through. Yeah, so I'll hand it over to Matthew now, who will go through some of the financial information for you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nathan. Great overview of the project. Matt, if you want to take us through some of the financials, there's some good news here, even better than we got last week, where things have kind of been sharpened down to more of a point, and got a really good view of what this is going to cost local taxpayers.
Certainly. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So as we're going through, we start off on the cost side with the arena construction contract that we're discussing this evening, being $17,387. The baseball, soccer fields, dog park, that is still estimated to be about $500,000. Additional equipment that will be required is $200,000. Design, tender, testing, contract administration, all of those types of things, approximately $1 million. Non-recoverable HST, that's the amount that we don't get back, and so we will submit HST returns for this, but there's a small portion we don't get back. So it's approximately $19.3 million in total. And then from a funding perspective, we obviously have the $9.7 million covering from the federal and provincial government, fundraising commitment of $3.2 million. The extension of water and sewers will either be paid through the water tower project or through the reserves for wastewater. So that takes approximately $765,000 off. The reserve contributions that I outlined last week between 2020 and 2025, which comes to a total of $15.34 million. So when we subtract that, the remaining amount is debt, is just shy of $4 million. And that's where we get to the 19.3 on both sides. Now, some of the things that Nathan just mentioned that I didn't put in here was $150,000 in savings, which we believe we have identified. The approximately $225,000 or $250,000 in contingency that if we don't spend, that we would be able to come back. And so there is a little bit of leeway in here that if things do go over along the way, such as the phase 2 for the other amenities, that we're able to offset it by some of the savings that. So I went on the conservative side to be able to say, here's kind of worst case as we know it today, and then here's how we would fund it. And so just shy of $4 million. And then when you take a look at what that would mean, which is 3.25% in terms of an interest rate over 25 years, then if you do it on the serial method, which is basically you pay the same amount of principal off every single year, as opposed to a traditional mortgage where you pay a small amount of principal in the beginning and a large amount of interest, and then it kind of switches. So with the serial, you pay the same amount every single year. You pay high interest in the beginning, low interest at the end. And what it actually does is, first, it saves quite a bit of money in terms of interest. And then secondly, you're actually able to start putting money back into the reserve fund in those later years so that you can have a reserve fund by the end of the payment time. So we could do it that way, or we could go the more traditional method, which would then lower the payments and allow us to pay back in 20 years. So, but at the end of the 20 years, there would be no reserve fund to be able to address anything that might come up. Just as a reminder, floors, the ice plants need to generally be replaced and addressed every 25 to 30 years. So it's important to build up some type of reserve for that time frame. It seems like a long time away, but it really isn't. So really, when I took a look at the analysis and the financial side, certainly if you go back to 2018 and when the Dual-Boyvan ice plant, community center ice plant ended up being decommissioned, I said we can move this project forward if we have partners. And what I'm pleased to say today is that we have a partner in the provincial and federal government of $9.7 million, and we have people that have really been striving very hard to raise funds for our new community center and a new recreation complex. And so all told, between those two amounts, that's nearly $13 million. And so when I said we needed partners, those are the partners that we needed to make it financially viable. If you also remember back to that time, I said the fact that we're putting $235,000 a year away, that we would be able to afford $4 to $5 million in terms of ongoing debt. So really, that's what you're seeing this evening, is kind of all the way back 3 years ago when we started this process, that those are the things that I said that we need to be put in place. And I'm happy to say that those are put in place to be able to move us forward today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Very accurate, very good words to sum this up, because we did set that plan before us back in 2018, and we've basically taken a crisis and turned it into a tremendous opportunity for Prescott and the entire region. Josh, did you have anything to add tonight on the engineering side of things?
No, I don't think so. I think once again, staff has done a great job on summarizing where we're at. I mean, our team did take a thorough look at things, and as Matthew already and Nathan already went through, I think we have some ideas that we might be able to get some money out and get that price down a little bit.
Well, thanks very much to all three of you and the other members of your teams as well. You've done a tremendous job bringing this forward to us, and it's a very exciting time tonight to actually have this final staff report on the contract that lays everything out so clearly. So I'll open it up for members of council for comments this evening. Anyone see Councillor Young? So we'll start off with Ray, please.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. We have the 2022 budget where we can put even more money aside if we're able. We won't have to make final decisions until the 23 budget about how we're going to do this financing. Isn't that right, Matthew? It will be in the 23 budget?
I would actually suggest, so a lot of the donations and payments are going to be receivable over 5 years. So I would actually suggest that we wouldn't make a final decision on that final debt debenture amount until 2025 or 2026. And so that way it gives an opportunity for all of the donors and advertisers to make their payments. And certainly that will be part of the consideration.
Even better. So I think there are a lot more donors out there that are now convinced that we're going to get a new rink. And I know that Dave and Judy and all the members of that committee have done a tremendous job. And hopefully they'll be able to find some more donors along the way. There's also a possibility that if we do close a couple of deals that are in the making, that we can take some of that money and specifically apply it to that $4 million deficit. So when it comes time to do the financing, we might be down to 2 or 3 million. So that's optimistic, but that's what I'm hoping for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Young. Comments from other members of council, please. Councillor Shankar and then Councillor McConnell.
Great report, Nathan and Matthew. I just have a couple of questions about the serial debenture versus the fixed payment amortizing loan. Is there a big difference in the interest rate for those two?
Certainly not. It usually is about 10 to 20 basis points. So instead of being 3.2, it might be 3.1 or 3. So not a lot of difference there, but it does make over a 25-year period, it could save as much as $500,000 or $600,000 in interest.
Okay. Which one's lower?
The serial. So,
okay.
Yeah. So serial does provide, because you're paying the exact same amount off every year, then the interest decreases much quicker. So in a traditional mortgage, you pay very little principal and a whole lot of interest, whereas this one you pay principal the exact same amount. So take the total, divide it by the number of years, and that's what you're going to pay in principal. And so therefore it drives down the interest quite quickly. The initial few years, the total payments are going to be a little bit higher, but over the life of the loan, then it does save several $100,000.
Okay. And that's considering that we put in reserve contributions of $295,000 per year?
That's correct.
And do you have, like, I can't do the math here, but at the end of the 20 years, how much would there be in reserve?
Certainly we can do that calculation. I was getting tired of working through it, but certainly we could be able to do that for you. And but if you just take a quick kind of calculation, and so if you noticed at the end of the 5th year, so we're paying $261,000 in that year, and so we're putting $33,000 a year away. And then by the 10th year, we're down to $235,000. So if you think that over the first few years, you're going to pay a little bit more, over the last 10 years, you're going to pay a lot less. But if you take on an average of $60,000 and multiply it by the 25 years, then you'd have about $1.5 million in reserve at the end of that 25 years.
Okay, that's great. That's what I guessed, but I wanted to hear it from you instead. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Gory Ray, did you have a comment specifically on the finance?
I want to make sure that I understand that. I think I do. That the point is that $285,000 is already built into the current tax rates. So we're not collecting more in taxes to pay that. It's already there, correct?
You're absolutely correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can't say that enough. That's a very, very good point. Councillor McConnell, please.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. There was a couple of concerns I had, and Matthew answered one of them, I believe, in our last meeting. And that was the understanding by me that the contractor that we're discussing tonight had not built any arenas. Yes, he built a fire hall. He built a fire hall in Augusta. He's building another fire hall in Elizabethtown, Kittley, but they hadn't actually built any arenas. Matthew corrected my impression on that, and he actually has been involved in building arenas in years past. So that allayed that concern for me. The other thing that I'm curious about now, we have been putting away money, as people have mentioned, towards an arena. However, that fund has also been used towards the Leo when repairs are required there. And fortunately, in the last couple of years, we haven't had a lot of repairs there. The repairs there were in the few years before that with the installation and whatnot, the mold and mildew. So hopefully we would not require any of that money in any great extent for the Leo. But through you, Mayor Todd, if I could ask Matthew, what happens if we do? Where does that money come from?
So certainly there's a couple areas where it could come from. One thing that we have been doing over the last few years is putting that extra 1% for infrastructure on. And so, and it's been very critical that we not allocate that to a long-term project or any of those types of things. So that allows us to free up a fairly large sum of money. And I believe by next year, we'll be putting approximately $250,000 a year away to that infrastructure fund. So if, heaven forbid, we had to do something at the Leo, then certainly there's other funds that we will be able to pull from to be able to support that.
Without increasing taxes.
That's correct.
Very good, thank you. Well, in that case, that allays both of my concerns over this project. We essentially are looking at a $19 million public facility. And the way Matthew has laid it out, at the end of the day, we're going to owe $4 million on it. And if that isn't a hell of a deal for the taxpayers of Prescott and the users of that arena, I don't know what is. It's not just an arena like the Leo was. It's a center. Yes, it's a hockey rink and a figure skating rink, but it has a walking track that is going to be used all year round. It has meeting rooms, which Leo didn't have, which are going to be used all year round. It has an activity area for children when their parents and their brothers and sisters are playing hockey or figure skating. An improved kitchen. This is such a wonderful thing for Prescott with just, and I know $4 million is a lot of money, but when you consider the fact that it's 19 million and we're going to get away with 4 million or less, I am very happy about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor McConnell. We'll go to Councillor Burton and then Councillor Jansman, please.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. Lee said it right. I mean, the whole town is buzzing over this amazing opportunity that as a town and a municipality we have received. What a wonderful gift. There is still lots of opportunities to invest in the rink through the fundraising committee. Everybody in the committee is super proud that we have almost reached our goal. So super excited about that. I do like that we are using local contractors. I think that's important to the residents of our town as well. So looking forward to putting on the skates in a couple of years and skating in our new facility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Burton. Councillor Jansman, please.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. Not too much to add. Other than a thank you to the staff and to Josh for putting together this report. Very easy to follow. It's I'm not sure if it's going to be shared publicly, but it will answer a lot of the questions anybody may have for it. And I particularly, although it was nicely explained by Nathan, I just really appreciated the thought and consideration of some of the areas that potential savings could take place. So that we are always like looking for opportunities. So yeah, no, great. And the financial breakdown, of course, Matthew, is very easy to understand and it's very transparent. And I think it's appreciated and I think the public will appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jansman. Anything else from members of council? Councillor Ostrander, please.
Well, I'll be number 6 out of 6 here, but I just wanted to comment on Nathan's presentation. Very thorough. Interesting that perhaps some of the accoutrements inside the rink can be either altered or maybe replaced with something else. That's interesting. But I would caution that we stay in guides with the fundraising committee. We have worked tirelessly to get all kinds of signs and boards up and logos and people sponsoring the walking track and all kinds of things. So I would ask that they stay in lockstep with us. I'm sure we're still going to be in existence till we're up and going here. And if in fact we could find sponsors for some of those other things, why not? It's all goes towards the cost of the arena, and we have kind of I won't say we're suffering from donor fatigue, but this summer we're taking a little bit of a break just to sort of reassess who we haven't heard from and who we've added some additional names to it. So we're still in good shape there. As Leanne pointed out, we're all guns blazing on that. And hopefully the donor end of it is still alive and active out there, and we can still draw upon people. Particularly, we're getting some in-kind donations, such as sand and gravel and backfill stuff for the rink once the building's up. So it's stuff like that sometimes people don't notice, but we notice it because it all has a dollar value towards what we're trying to attain. So go Prescott, go. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Ostrander. Any other comments from members of council tonight? Okay, thanks very much for everyone for chipping in there. I don't have a whole lot to add myself, but I just did want to say that it's times like these, this is why we run for municipal office, as for council, for mayor. It makes a lot of the other stuff worthwhile when we can get together on a night like tonight, award a contract like this that we know will serve the community at large for many years to come. It's a tremendous achievement too, to do it for the dollar figures we are bringing this in at. Only paying, I mean, I say only, but what we're getting is a tremendous facility. We're getting over $19 million in a new recreational hub for the region for under $4 million of local taxpayer money. That's an incredible achievement just on the finances alone. And then when you look at what the actual facility is, the arena itself with the seating on both sides, the walking track, the other amenities, the ball fields, the soccer fields, new skateboard park, dog park, potential pickleball courts. I mean, it's going to be the mecca for recreation in much of Leeds and Grenville, if not a good chunk of Eastern Ontario overall. And it's something I think we can all take great pride in. We did display the vision, the expertise, and quite frankly, the dogged determination that has led us to tonight and has enabled us to make this happen. We've built a tremendous team here, council, staff. We've got the experts with our engineers. We've got MPP Minister Clark, who has been a tremendous advocate for us every step of the way to help us get that provincial and federal funding. We've got the private fundraisers. I can't say enough for David Beatty and Judy Barry leading that fundraising group, but everybody has just pitched in and contacted numerous people. We've got the asks out there everywhere. It's still happening though. That's the only caution I would raise tonight, as Councillor Burton did mention. The fundraising goes on. This is not the end game tonight. We are still looking for more donations to take us even into a better financial position than we are tonight, to ensure that we absolutely build the best possible facility. And that work does go on with the fundraising committee. So at any rate, thanks so much to everyone. It's a tremendous sense of gratitude, the entire community, to my fellow members of council, to staff, all the donors this evening. We made something really, really special happen here, all of us working together. We proved that we can do it here in Prescott, and we've brought it in for a good final cost as well, which is obviously very important in challenging economic times like these. So here, and I think Mike said it best with Go Prescott. We've done an incredible thing here, and we will mark that officially on Friday at 2 p.m. at the arena site, where we'll be having the ceremonial groundbreaking. We've invited a number of local dignitaries, of course, all of council and other officials. So we're going to celebrate once more on Friday, and then the work will begin in earnest as we move forward towards a February 2023 expected completion date. So this is going to happen very quickly now. We're going to move forward with it very fast. There'll be a lot of action on that site in the very near future. Oh, and of course, I'm really remiss in mentioning this. I should have mentioned it earlier. Augusta Township, they were incredible to help us with the application. They came in as a full partner, and that tremendous partnership we have built with Augusta overall really helped make this happen tonight, and paves the way for even greater cooperation and partnerships with Augusta in the not too distant future. Mayor Doug Malenka and his council can't say enough for what they have done here to help us out. So onward and upward, a fantastic night this evening, and we'll see everybody again with shovels in hand on Friday at 2 o'clock. So with that, I think I am able to call the question. All those in favor? Fantastic. That is passed. So that's just about everything we have on the agenda this evening. So that takes us right to item 6. That's the confirming bylaw for this evening, and that is bylaw 38-2021. The recommendation reads that bylaw 38-2021, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting held tonight, July 26, 2021, be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Can I ask for a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Ostrander, seconded by Councillor Burton. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Moves us right on to item 7, adjournment. Can I ask for a mover on the adjournment this evening? Moved by Councillor Shankar, seconded by Councillor Young. All those in favor? Motion is carried, and everybody get back and enjoy their summer. Thanks for watching tonight, and thanks to everyone on council, staff, and the donors for doing so much to make this happen. It's a very good night for the town of Prescott. Take care, folks, and we'll see you on Friday at 2 o'clock.